This is Sportsline.
Good evening. Welcome to Sportsline. John Burton with you for the next hour, and we are an hour away from Game 4 between the Predators and the Avalanche in Colorado. Of course, the Preds lead that series 2-1. Colorado getting on the board Monday night with a 5-3 win over the Preds back on Monday night. So the Preds looking to go up 3-1 in the series with a win, with a chance to come home and close out the series Friday night. Game 5 will be Friday night at Bridgestone Arena. It's an 8:30 start in case you didn't get the time of that game. But first things first, we got Game 4 tonight. We're going to be previewing the game throughout the hour. You're going to hear from some of the Preds players, and also Justin Bradford from Penalty Box Radio is going to join us in the next segment to get his thoughts on Game 4, bit of a preview of what we might expect tonight as the Preds go for a 3-1 lead in this best-of-7 series. And I got to laugh because throughout the last couple of days, you've been hearing people say, well, I'm not worried. I haven't lost faith in the Preds. Look, they had a bad game Monday night. Pecorini did not play well. The guys in front of him did not play well. They created scoring opportunities, but few and far between. That first period, they had pretty much no offensive zone time. It's a bad game. It's a marathon, not a sprint, folks. One loss is not going to necessarily dictate a series. If the Preds win, they're in the driver's seat with a chance to come home Friday night and close out the series. Now, if they lose tonight, okay, yeah, it's 2-2, but think about this. It's still a best-of-3 from here on in, with 2 of the 3 games being at Bridgestone Arena. So the Preds, in my opinion, still in great shape in this series. Again, Justin Bradford will join us next segment as we preview Preds Avalanche Game 4. But right now, we're going to start with some Titans talk. And for that, we bring in our good buddy Jimmy Wyatt from TitansOnline.com, the senior editor. Jimmy, how are you, buddy? Long time.
I'm doing great. How you doing, JB?
I'm great, Jimmy. You know, it's funny, so much. I know you're busy with the Titans, covering them as they get ready for the draft. Hard to believe the draft is a week from tomorrow. But also, you're an Asheville boy, Jimmy, born and raised. Have you been keeping up with what the Predators have been doing?
I have been, yeah, and I am. You're right. I mean, I grew up in Nashville, take a lot of pride in the city and the sports teams in the city, and I'll be up late, watching them until the game ends, hoping they can get a win and keep this postseason alive and well into June, and excite the city like what we saw last year during the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm definitely pulling for the Preds and excited about it.
Jimmy, it's been a while since we spoke. What are your thoughts on I know a couple of weeks ago it happened, but what are your thoughts on the Titans' new uniforms? You probably saw them well in advance of when the big reveal was a couple of weeks ago on that cold night downtown. But what are your thoughts on the Titans' new unis? I love the dark helmet and I love the color schemes.
I do too. I think it's unique. I mean, I like what they did with the numbers. I know there's been a lot of conversation about the numbers, and I know they're different. But the fact that they kind of have a little Greek history in them, they have Tennessee tied to them, with the numbers resembling the state of Tennessee. I liked what they did with the sword on the helmet and on the shoulder and kind of on the side of pants. And I do like the color scheme, and they didn't go far away from the past. I mean, this team's uniforms in 1999, not that different now compared to what they were then, but it's in the same family, and I'm glad they didn't go drastic. I didn't see them well in advance. I saw them a couple of days in advance. It was such a tightly kept secret, and I think everybody knew that that it better not leak out. I didn't want to know, at all until I really had to know, which was a couple of days before, where I had a chance to kind of write a story and be prepared for that night instead of writing it live. But I loved you talk about pride in the city. That night was so incredible for the city of Nashville and for the Titans organization. Just seeing all those people on Broadway and just the excitement around it, the former players there, the current players there, Florida Georgia line performing afterward, and people sticking around and seeing the GM and the head coach up there. It was just a fun night for the city and for the franchise. And now the next big event is tomorrow, when the schedule gets announced tomorrow night.
Jimmy Wyatt from TitansOnline.com is our guest. Yeah, we're going to talk about the schedule in just a second. But getting back to what we saw at that Titans uniform unveiling, Seems to me, Jimmy, like the Titans franchise is sending a message to the NFL. Hey, we can host a draft here. We can host some of your bigger events. You really need to consider us meaning Nashville, for future big events.
Yeah, and this city would handle it. I've been to drafts in Philadelphia and Chicago the past couple of years, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, especially in Philadelphia with the turnout there, and the weather was good. They caught a break from that standpoint. Nashville could pull it off. There's no doubt about it. With that same kind of blueprint, having the events downtown, Nashville has a lot of venues that could take advantage of. No question that people will turn out. It would become a party over those 3 days. And as Amy Adams Strunk said, Nashville knows how to throw a party. I mean, we've done this before, whether it's been for the CMA Festival or for that event, the uniform unveil. We've all seen the amount of people that have turned out for the Preds events. Nashville knows how to pull off a big event, and it's a destination city. I mean, people love to come here. So while Philadelphia was taken over by Eagles fans, I think it would be a ton of Titans fans there, obviously, but I think people from all over the country would love a chance to come to Nashville. People I talk to that cover the league, when they talk about their favorite cities to come to during the course of the season, Nashville is at the top of that list. So I think the media would be excited about it. I think the fans would be excited about it. And I think I think the city would look outstanding during the NFL draft.
Jimmy, today Titans GM John Robinson let it be known that the team will pick up Marcus Mariota's fifth-year option. Really a no-brainer there. It's kind of a news item, but it was kind of something we all figured would happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the news story is if it didn't happen. I mean, right. I think everybody just, anytime you've got a development as incremental as it might be, it makes headlines and people see it, but then you move on because you've got to do that. I mean, you can't not do it. So as John Robinson said, I mean, this buys him some time, keeps him under contract through 2019. I talked to him a little bit in his office after, kind of he made it public, and he said that now the plan is after next season, then they'll try to work on trying to keep Marcus here long term. But the important thing now is 2018. The expectation is he's going to have a really good season under Matt LaFleur, and the team's going to keep the momentum going, and then you worry about what happens long term after that. But I definitely think Mariota is going to force under a new offense with some new weapons around him.
Talking with Jimmy Wyatt from TitansOnline.com. Jimmy, we mentioned the schedule. It'll get revealed tomorrow. We know who the 2018 opponents are, and I think we know where these games are going to be played. How much stock do you put into the unveiling of the schedule where you get to see where and when the Titans will play, how many nationally televised games, Sunday night, Monday night, that kind of thing?
Well, people get excited about it. I remember back before you really knew who the opponents were, and there was a big build-up then, and I thought, okay, once you get to the point where everybody knows the opponents and you're just announcing the dates, nobody's really going to care that much. But fans care about it. I care about it. I mean, I'm curious as to who's going to be the opener. Like you said, how many primetime games you're going to get. What's it look like in December as you're trying to secure a playoff run? When's the London game going to be? I'm looking at it thinking, okay, how's this going to match up with my Vanderbilt football schedule? Am I going to be in town playing Tennessee? I'm trying to keep my streak alive. It goes all the way back to 1978, and I've always made it no matter where the Titans have been, even on the West Coast. But one of these days I'm worried I'm going to get stuck at a place where I can't do that. But that's the first thing I look to. Could the Titans potentially be in Indianapolis the weekend when Vandy's playing Notre Dame? I mean, you got a lot of things to consider when the schedule comes out. For me, it's I want to see the good matchups. I want to see, I'd love to see a game against the Patriots at Nissan Stadium on prime time. I mean, there's a lot of things to look forward to. I have to admit, I'm looking at that Vandy football schedule immediately and trying to see how it's going to affect my weekends.
Yeah, Jimmy, that London game, how excited is the Titans organization about getting an opportunity to travel overseas and play? I mean, I know it's a showcase game for the NFL, and logistically it can be a bit of a pain for those that take care of those sorts of things, but, you know, it really is a big deal for the teams that are selected to go overseas and play a regular season game.
It is, and I've talked to guys who have done it before. You know, my buddies with the Jaguars that cover them for the paper and also work for the team. That, you know, that's old hat for them. They're used to making that trip, and they talk about the routine you get into. Yeah, I'm curious myself to see how the Titans are going to approach that trip. Whether you go there early in the week, whether you go late in the practice week and try to get some work done there. I think there'll certainly be a day before the game where it's a little bit more relaxed. Maybe you can see the city a little bit in the area, but it's a cool event. You know, it's amazing to me how many fans the Titans have overseas, and people who are fired up about them coming, going to Wembley Stadium to play. And I think there'll be a good Titans turnout there. That's how you kind of grow fans, is you expose them to an area you have not been to. And I know a lot of Titans fans will show up there. A lot of Titans fans will want to make the trip, and it ought to be a fun day in October. And then they will have a bye the week that follows when this game is going to be. So that kind of helps you on the back end of it.
Yeah, no question. Jimmy, looking ahead to the draft, as we said, the draft begins, hard to believe, a week from tomorrow. Titans sitting there currently at 25. It's a different feeling going into this draft as for years past, in that, you know, they don't have a top 5, top 3, top pick overall. They're sitting there at 25 after having a solid season last year. They took care of a lot of their needs and wants in free agency. Where are some of the positions you think they might be looking for at 25 and beyond as the draft goes on?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think John Robinson did a good job of kind of filling needs and keeping the team from being really desperate in any position. Signed Malcolm Butler and Deion Lewis early. That takes care of a couple of big spots for it. It created competition in the interior line with Kevin Panfield and Xavier Su'a-Filo. Blaine Gabbert's got the backup quarterback spot after Castle departs to Compton. Will Compton steps in to take Avery Williams' place. Benny Logan, the big defensive lineman, Phil Sylvester Williams' spot, and I think it's an upgrade there. Michael Campanero gives you some depth at receiver, and another guy in the return game. Now, a couple of spots I haven't mentioned. There's still a third safety that's needed after Denoris Searcy departed. I think there's still numbers needed at the receiver position. We're going to be in double digits by the time camp gets here for sure. The Titans are low there. Edge rusher has not been addressed yet, and I think that obviously is one of the bigger needs. I think they'll address inside linebacker more during the off season. So John Robinson is in a pretty good spot in that he can go best available player with the pick and potentially find a guy that can help them early, but they're not desperate like they have been in some other years where you had to say, okay, there have been some years past where the Titans needed 3-4 starters. Yeah. Going into off season. That's not the case anymore. I think John's biggest thing now is hey, is there a guy that maybe falls to you that you don't expect to be there? And a lot of that stuff doesn't play out till draft day. I mean, how many quarterbacks are taken? How many corners are taken? And all that stuff affects what's going to be there when the Titans are on the clock.
No question about it. Will you be at Jerry World next week for the draft?
I will be. It'll be a short stay. The Titans got a mini camp on that on next week, and availability I think is out Wednesday. So I'm going to go to that, catch a flight out Wednesday night, be there for Thursday for the first round, and then fly back early Friday to be here for the rest of the draft. Been fortunate the past couple of years in Philly and Chicago, where when Jack Conklin was picked, we talked to him right when he came off the stage, and the same thing last year when Corey Davis and Adoree Jackson were picked. Even flew back with those guys. Wow. And so we had some good coverage on Titans Online with that. I was there. Amy Wells, Ashley Farrell were there. They did great video pieces of that. Picking at 25, there's no guarantee that the Titans are going to be there. I mean, I think only 22 guys are going to the draft, but it's worth going down there for the event. And certainly, if the pick is there, we'll have access to them right out of the gate. If not, then then it will be a trip that I will at least be able to soak in and kind of pump people up on what it's going to be like in the coming year or two when it's going to be in Nashville, hopefully, and tell them, hey, this is what Dallas did. Let's see Nashville top it.
All right, Jimmy, get your plugs in, my man.
I will do it. Thanks. I appreciate JB. At J Wyatt Sports is where you follow me on Twitter. TitansOnline.com is where you read all the content. I'm writing. Amy Wells, Ashley Farrell, Mike Keith, producing content for the site. Jeff Harding, Gary Glenn, those guys are doing a lot of good behind-the-scenes work. And at Titans is the team's Twitter account that's run by Nate Bain. So a lot going on this offseason, a lot going on here at the draft next week. And it's a good place to go to find out about the Titans. I appreciate it, JB.
Oh, always appreciate you coming on, Jimmy. Have a great night. Best to you and the family.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
All right, the great Jim Wyatt joining us here on Sportsline as we get you set for the draft next week. And, of course, minicamp next week with the Titans. They get the extra minicamp with the new first-time head coach in Mike Vrabel. All right, quick break, and then it's hockey time. We're going to preview Preds Avalanche Game 4 coming up in about 45 minutes. Justin Bradford from Penalty Box Radio. Few people in this city know hockey better than him. He'll give us an idea of what to expect tonight, plus your phone call. Stay with us. We're back after this.